Linear regression is widely known as the simplest machine learning model. So, what is it? Regression is a supervised learning model, which means that we supervise the data given to it, in the sense that we know the answers and we give it to the computer for it to form patterns from the input to the solution, and so it learns. For example, let's take a look at the movie industry. Imagine we're trying to predict how much a movie makes at the box office based on how much money it spends on advertising. We've got data from a bunch of movies, and for each one, we know its marketing budget and its theater revenue. Our goal is to predict how much revenue a new movie might generate based on how much they spend on advertising. We can visualize this by plotting a graph with the advertising budgets on the x-axis and the box office revenue on the y-axis. Linear regression will try to fit a line through the data points that shows how increasing the advertising budget will impact the revenue at the box office. So, how does AI actually find a line of best fit? It's not just drawing random lines and hoping for the best. Instead, it uses a technique called gradient descent, which tries to keep improving itself and reducing its errors until it finally reaches the most accurate line. Here, we have this very inaccurate line which the regression model keeps improving until we get our line of best fit, which I got by plugging the values into a calculator. Practically, this is done by minimizing something called a cost function, which I'm not going to go too in depth about because it contains some advanced maths. Anyways, once we have our line, we can just assign a value for our new movie, which has a budget of say $70 million. And as we can see, the linear regression model tells us that it's gonna make around $76 million. Not that great, honestly. Now, we know that linear regression is very simple and also easy to implement, and the results are quite easy to understand. But there's a catch. It assumes that the relationship between the variables is linear, which isn't always the case. For example, in the case of Frozen 2 and Blade Runner, we see that although they had similar budgets, Frozen made almost 5 times as much revenue as Blade Runner, telling us that real life applications contain many more variables than just advertising budget. So, when the data shows a non-linear pattern, linear regression may not perform well. And that's why we need other, more complex models that I'll cover in later videos. Anyways, thank you so much for watching.